Hello and welcome. Today is the 3rd of July 2017. Let's take a look at the markets. But before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. In June, I sent a little over 1 Ether to Poloniex from another exchange, and it never ever received. So I placed a ticket on the failed transfer, and I did a video on this a few days after the 11th of June. But I got nothing back for 17 days when I was told it was resolved and nothing had changed. And I stated that. Then a few days after that, which was yesterday, I was told that the transfer ran out of gas and I needed to contact the sender. And it would have been nice to be notified this on June the 12th. But regardless of the fact, I was able to contact them, and then hours later, they fixed the problem. I got my Ethereum back. And what I've learned is I never knew what running out of gas meant, and I really still don't. That's French to me. I probably don't want to be transferring any Ethereum anymore, and I am totally dissatisfied and unhappy with the customer service on Poloniex, where if there's competition, and there is, then of course I can trade on other platforms. Let's talk a little bit about XBY, which stands for Extra Bytes. It's a less known altcoin, which is found on Yobit, CSEX, and Cryptopia. And I want to talk about how markets on these high volume can have these types of big moves, and how you can, when you see them in advance, you can be ready for the buy orders. Because one of the places where this was sold, I was a buyer. I was on the buy end of it. So therefore, at 1747, and before then, I'm saying to myself, man, I sold way too much here in the 800s. In fact, a lot of what I've sold is like 775, 800, 820. And I've probably sold, and I don't want to give out that number because it's pretty much there as my buy, but I've sold so much too many. Okay, I gotta buy it back. And what I seen was that if the market falls below 800 here, we got 798, 785, 782, 760, and there was hardly anybody at 750. So why don't I get the 4,000 or so that I sold too much of and buy it back at 750 and go from there? Well, that's what I did. But notice the time and when all this happened. This happened at 1747, just small sells, and 1750 a little bit, again, bringing it down to 834. And then it all started at 55, where this was all one lot. And then it was the one with 803 on the bottom, which included a 12,000 shot, which is an okay amount, but still nothing too hefty, really. And then you had these four at one time, the 801 to 803, because they all happened with the 50-second mark. But this is all happening at 1755. This could be the same person push and sell 3 different times. And since that point, the price action has risen substantially. That the last trade, just an hour and a half later, as it's 1939, the last trade's in at 853. So since that last sell, it's only up 123 basis points, or about 17-18%. So that's a type of wild movements that can be occurring. Let's move on to the cryptocurrency charts. We'll start off within Bitcoin against the US dollar, which had a good update today of about 2.2%. Well, just okay numbers, but the movement extended its price up to this upper area, as well as to the 18 average highs. But we still have continuation of the neutrality, so everything I've been saying for the last few days remains and such. On the 4-hour time frame, however, we can see just an interesting little pattern here, where this 2580 handle retraced down a little bit, and we can see in here this higher low, consolidation within this band, and a break to previous high with a little bit of consolidation, which is what I'm liking. which means on a move above here, don't be surprised if it's able to have maybe a quick move to the next point, but that's just more to the upper end of neutrality, with the next section being around 2750 to about 28, and then the next one and the final level of resistance a little south of 3000. The Ethereum chart, it really had a lackluster session. I mean, hardly moved at all. And when we look at the volatility numbers, 284 basically and 267 rounded higher. Oh, that's a difference of what? Oh, about a couple dozen plus, close to 10%. When you normally can have days of like 280 down to 210, which have just 30% volatile moves. Ethereum is a very volatile market that when this thing is ready to go back to a bull trend, break the consolidation, who knows how much this can rise to the upside. But more importantly, it kind of shows, or does show, not kind of, the wild moves that you can acquire simply by day trading, and how much swing trading, where the gain stocks would normally get over many months, happen over a few days in this environment. Let's take a look at the cross with Bitcoin on the Ether now. And it's more of neutrality. It went down a bit today because, well, Ethereum did nothing when Bitcoin went up. So if everything doing nothing today in its price lost value against Bitcoin because Bitcoin had a small 2% up day. And let's move on now to the ETC, or the Classic. And it too has its continuation of its sideways movement. But again, looking at a comparison to a stock market, you would think that a day of the bigger red days would be a 2.7% down day. No. Today is that. This is the movement in here. The volatility, again, wild, but the movements still remain the same. Sideways correction. It's in the middle area for the most part. Yes, the lower area of the band, but the band's in the middle part. Let's move on to the Litecoin. And it's having a nice day today, as it's up about 8.7% over that of Bitcoin. But more importantly, after this correctionary move and spending a week or such in that area within a rising correctionary 18 average band, it decided to leave it today, closing in on this previous area of resistance. And I was in the camp where I just bought in this range because I've read, at least in the WebBot report, that when this interesting event in the mainstream happens to get Litecoin, I just don't even care about watching any television other than maybe the odd sports bit. So I'm gonna miss it. But I realize if you just buy whenever and wait, then you can expect the gains to come through. Plus, we have this overall sideways movement. And OMG kind of moments we're going to get. And this is the weekly time frame. Look at the movement last year. Just straight up like this. A wild bear market in here, to say the least. And the shoot up going from 0031 to about single 020 something. That's about a 7x gain. I don't know what its next one can be, but I see within this movement, move up here, back to the 18, and its more recent move beforehand was leaving this band. It came back down to the 18 of highs and is leaving again. Such a bullish pattern. I'm liking the situation of a good break and move. That price having nice substantial gains, yeah, easy for me to say, that we've seen before, and I'll be looking to be a seller, probably closer. Let me just check where my sell order is, because I know I got one in, and I have a few of them in. I have 35 as one, then again in the 40s, and then again in the 50s. That's where I'm placing my sell orders, and I move them around and change them every now and again, but as of this time, that's where they're placed. Dash with the continuation of its happy face, bowl shape, however you want to call it. The uptrend rate of ascent is declining, of course, a little bit more neutral, but another small up day again today. And like Ethereum, it looks like hardly any volatile movement at all. You'd think in the stock market at 0.8%. No, we have a move gain of 1.94% and a little bit more volatility, not much more. But it's still hanging in there, holding and staying above this area, which I think is a very productive thing in itself. Let's take a look at this baby on the weekly. And notice the 80 number, where if it breaks by that, what breaking 80 would look like on the weekly, because we can see how big it is here. And a break of that such would be a move up past here, which would be leaving this band after it had this huge rise, and now for the past dozen plus or over 12 weeks or so has been consolidating within this rising average. That's definitely a bullish sentiment, to say the least. Also throw in the consideration or the fact that this level, and this level never came back as its support area. That's this low here so far is in play. Each one of these a little bit higher as far as on the deep pullbacks is concerned. And this is just one of those ready whenever you're ready, let's get going. I know what you want to do. I know you want to go higher. And sometimes the wait can be a while. And any type of movement that puts the price action below this 18 average and holds and stays below there, I'd definitely be in the camp for concerned. But it's on the other side, and its pattern is looking as if it's ready to break higher. ZEC is next, and a lot of concerns on this as it's showing its pattern that it wants to create another leg lower as you have this move going down here. An okay, decent enough rally that takes up to the 18 average, and since that point, it leaves the 18 average in here with another small down day, pause up day, and it gave all those gains back again. So it's at another test of this support area. The more likely it is you test it, the more likely it is that it is to be taken out. And I think the area around the 75 handle would be a not appropriate but expected area to where it may go down to if there is that of a leg lower. For things to get in any type of bullish situation, it really does need to get back above this 18 average, especially after you have the situation in which you had this rally up to here. Correct, very well and nicely. There's leaving the band, but that's not a leg higher. That's a match of that level. So if this rally ultimately fails, then there's definitely concern within it. But when it's all said and done, when you're talking about higher highs and higher lows, key low area, and right now this is a key low. So if this thing does manage to hold and the price action comes in, there's definitely going to be bullish sentiments, but the pattern short term doesn't look good. XCM with a rally today, but it's a move that makes it into this 18 average. It's a declining one, and for several days it's been resisting it. So it's an upgrade to hanging in by a thread, resisting the band, to attempting to neutralize it because it's in a downward mode. So if it can stay within this price range, the band would flatten out. But I need to see more for any bullish behavior. I would at least need to see some sort of break above here and then for it to correct. I mean, this thing could just shoot right up and I'll miss it every single time. But if it can do any type of pattern to show any type of bullishness, like I stated, get above here, band flatten out, starts to rise, maybe a little bit of a consolidation within this point. And then on a break above any key resistance, especially with this 80 number, that would be ideal for it to move up within however long it takes to get here. And then correct within this point, whether it's going sideways, whether it's going down to this band. But show me some sort of setup that I'm accustomed to seeing that I like before I want to go long, and I don't see that right now. And let's finish this off within GNO, because earlier on, back in May, this thing just appeared on virtually every single exchange. And you can't read this and get much into it. And what the heck happened on this cattail? And well, I just made it look different. Let's fix that back. But I guess to make the chart look right, I guess I can only see it from this point on. So I can only look at the shorter term analysis. And this 4-hour time frame paints a lot of good, interesting information, as it came from a failed breakdown. Failed move, fast move. Yep, there's a failed move. There's the fast move. However, I hate when I do that. There we go. However, after this high, what does the story state? It had its consolidation, not sure what to do from this big gain, decent sell-off. And then it since had a rally, but oftentimes these things, when it has its next rally, may not be able to spark so much. So I'm not going to look at the breakout here too much as a failed move if it happens. A little bit, yes. But as far as what I'm looking for buy signals, I can only see two. One, because of this beautiful correction over the last little bit and this established resistance in here, that if this thing can hold well, making a higher low in here or where it is at now, and then break through past this point, then just maybe it's got what it takes to not only test this high, but most likely even take it out as well, and then establish a newer, higher level. When we look at Fibonacci retracement, I've already calculated a high of 160 and a low of 74. So that means the key areas are in at about 119 as well as 99. So the 119 handle originally was a sweet support. Notice it pierced below. That's what they usually do. And this is where markets come back to where they come from. So if this breaks down below here, well, I'm going to be placing a buy order in relatively soon, actually, somewhere down here. Just in case, of course, this level ultimately does fail. But I'm going to be looking more for any type of further momentum from this correctionary move. But you know what? I think there's an okay chance that it's just going to go sideways maybe in this little while. But who knows? Who knows? I don't follow the fundamentals within it. I do like how this had some decent volume, but I mean, that's to be expected with any of these big moves. And I don't know where this came from before this got moved on all the exchanges, any of the fundamentals, but breaking here, I will probably bet only small, because you could end up buying in here and then you're just going to find that matching lower high before it comes back here. So there's a lot of risk within that as well. Take care.